Bella, you just crossed the fence. What are you doing? You're on the wrong side. Get back over here. Good girl. Well, what's up guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and you know, remember when I was telling you guys a while back about how Oklahoma goes straight from summer to winter? You know, we may have like 3 days of fall. Well, it's about 35 degrees in Oklahoma in October, and we Oklahomans don't like it that cold this early. So it's cold in Oklahoma. But today we're going to be talking about a subject, mostly because it's something I get questions about all the time, and that is trespassers and trespassing, and how do you keep people off your property. So the American dream is to own your own piece of property and have your own thing and do your own thing. Everyone just wants their little slice of the pie, right? Well, when you own property, one of the things you may have to deal with is tricky trespassers. Now, I'm going to offer some suggestions, and I'm not going to go wild and crazy and say we're going to be out here with guns a-blazing and shooting people for being on our property. That's not what this video is about. This video is mostly just posting your property, kind of covering a few things. So I have the standpoint, so let me explain a few things. I live on 110 acres, and directly behind me, across this fence right here, is a national park, a public hunting area. I back up to the backside of a public hunting area, which is perfectly awesome for me because I live on 100 acres, but right next to me is several hundred more acres that I have access to hunt on. So it's kind of nice. I enjoy it. I like it. But it's deer season, and one of the problems that we run into during deer season, especially when it gets into rifle season, is people coming onto our property. Now, I really don't have a huge problem with this. I don't approve of it, but it's not a big issue for us. The only thing I've really ever ran into, a lot of times we get people, since it is a public hunting area back here, a lot of people aren't familiar with the boundaries, don't know where the boundaries are. Some of them know that when they cross a fence, they're probably crossing a boundary. But I go ahead and put up new signs every couple of years that say no trespassing, private property, no trespassing, no hunting, no trespassing, things like that. Just to make sure we keep the honest people honest. Because when it boils right down to it, if someone's going to trespass on your property, they want to come onto your property to either hunt what you've got to hunt, if you got a good hunting area, or break into your house or steal your property, whatever it is. There's a reason. A lot of times it's just it maybe it's just coming across to hunt a little bit. They're not necessarily there to steal you blind or anything like that. And I know, I'm smart enough to know that a no trespassing sign is only going to keep the honest people honest. Now, before we get too far into this, I want you guys to understand I'm not an attorney, and I don't know what the laws are in every state. I just kind of know what I do here, and I want to offer that as a suggestion because people ask frequently. So I go ahead and post no trespassing signs along the property line on the public hunting area, just to keep the honest people honest. And that way, if somebody does wander across my property, then I can at least say, hey, I've got that property line posted very well. Because the National Park Service, I don't see any signs on this fence right now, but what they put up is a little sign about this wide and about this tall that says NPS border. It's very small, and usually they put it to where it's facing the private property owner's side, like we need to know where the boundary is. I know where the boundary is. Anyway, so people will drift across to hunt, you know, to hunt and fish and things like that. We've had a few instances in the past where out-of-town folks come in and hunt. You know, they usually come in at daylight or right before daylight and take off to go find the hunting spot. And sometimes they'll walk a little too far, and some of the fences are in some pretty thick brush, and they may wander across. Every once in a while we'll have somebody that maybe wanders up too close to our house, and we'll see them because usually they're wearing fluorescent orange like they're required, and we'll say, hey, what are you doing on our property? And they'll say, oh, I didn't know, or you know, they're going to tell you they didn't know. So what about actual property owners? Say an area where not everyone's going to back up to a public hunting area. Here's where I'm a little bit different than a lot of people. Here's my theory, okay? If it's a private property owner to private property owner boundary, I'm going to do my best to make friends with that person, because I love to hunt. I love to manage the wildlife on my property, and in rural Oklahoma, a lot of people do as well. So my goal is to make friends with my neighbor and not enemies. I know it's not that easy for everyone, but I'm not gonna go along my neighbor to neighbor boundary and put up all these signs that say no trespassing, no hunting, no fishing. I'm gonna make friends with my neighbor. And in today's age, if you're into hunting and managing deer or the wildlife on your property, here's my suggestion. Get together with all of your neighbors and make a cooperative. You don't have to have, you know, a monthly meeting or anything like that, but in today's age, you can start a Facebook group that just is you and all of your neighbors that says, hey, here's gonna be who's on my property. Here's, you know, here's gonna be who's hunting. Here's where we may be hunting. That way, if your neighbor or one of the people hunting on your neighbor's property shoots a deer and they want to come close to your property to track that animal on your side of the fence or something, they know how to contact you. They can get in contact really quick, or they know where you're going to be hunting. Say your neighbor shoots a deer one morning early and you're hunting on your property, they can at least go, hey, Daniel's going to be hunting in this area. I don't want to go over there and mess things up until I know it's safe to enter, because rifle season is really the only time that it's even a big concern, because we're all out here with high-powered deer rifles in the woods, and we are required to wear hunter orange, you know, fluorescent orange clothing, but we all know not everyone does that. So we don't want people out walking around the woods that don't belong and don't have their orange on. And like I said, try to make friends with your neighbors. It's much better to have them on your good side, or for you to be on their good side, than on their bad side, because you never know when it's going to be you that needs to cross that fence to go track down a wounded animal or something. But anywho, I know a lot of people have problems with this, and a lot of people ask, what do you do? How do you keep people off your property? And get to know the laws in your state. Every state's a little bit different. Get to know the laws in your state. Get to know the local sheriff's deputies and the sheriff, and ask them questions. Hey, what should I do if I have someone trespassing on my property? Lord forbid you actually have someone that's coming on unwanted. But in that case, there's a few things that I do. I'm not going to show you because I don't want those people watching and knowing, but I'm kidding. One thing I do, I run a lot of game cameras on my property. You guys know that. I show trail camera videos and pictures all the time. And every so often you have a game camera that goes bad and quits working. So what I'll do is I'll find a tree close to a property line, or where I think someone may be coming in, and I'll put some of those broken trail cameras out, just so before they ever cross the fence, they may go, hey, that guy's got game cameras out and I can see him. I'm not going across his property because he's going to be getting pictures of me. Now, from time to time, game cameras don't stop thieves. They will come and steal your game camera. So if you're having an issue, a good option is to put up one of those decoy game cameras and then back off a few feet, maybe go up higher in a tree and angle a camera down, and you can actually get pictures of people maybe coming in to steal your game camera or something like that. Another good tip, and I'm going to go down my driveway and put up a no trespassing sign. If you live in a very rural area like I do, we live on a very long gravel driveway, which is really close to a public hunting and fishing area. Sometimes people, I don't know how honest they are. They say they don't know that they're on private property. So if they come in your driveway looking for a place to access that public land, or looking for a place to access a property next to you that they may have permission to hunt on, sometimes they're going to play dumb and they're going to say, oh, well, we didn't know this was private property. So that's why it's a good idea to have no trespassing and private property signs on your driveway, just to kind of curb that. We live, you know, like I said, you guys see our creek all the time. We live way out in the country. We show the creek. Houston and I do a lot of trapping and fishing and stuff at the creek, and 3 different times this past summer we've caught people just chilling, just hanging out in the creek on our driveway, right next to our, well, not right next to our house, but close to our house, clearly on private property. They'll just come in, park, because they see the creek and they're like, oh, this is part of the national park. They'll come in, get out, set up their little picnic, be cooking hot dogs and hamburgers and playing in the creek. 3 different times that we've caught people this summer. So you know, gates, security gates, an automatic gate. Nowadays you can buy solar powered gates that have a code you can put in to open that gate. That may be something we look at doing in the future. I'm gonna go repost our driveway with some no trespassing signs. They don't last forever. They're just little cheap plastic signs, and people tend to rip them off when they're out in the woods like this, or on your driveway. You know, the people come in and they'll tear them down. But we're gonna make sure that that thing is posted. And as we get into gun season, we'll start shutting our gate. We don't have an automatic gate, but when we get in the first few days of rifle season, gun season, we'll shut that gate. Not necessarily even lock it. We'll just shut it, just so people know, hey, that's not a public access roadway to use. So, like I said, I go about things a little bit different. Even though I've been in law enforcement for, oh gosh, going on 14 years, most people that come onto my property, I don't feel like are doing it with any bad intentions. Now, those bad apples are out there, don't get me wrong. It happens, I know it does. But I know that I live next to public property, and some people are going to cross that fence with bad intentions. Some people are going to come up in here and they're going to sit right here on that fence and wait for a deer to come off of my property and shoot. Once it crosses that fence, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't own the deer, I don't own the game. They're you know, they're property of the state. They belong to everyone. So I try not to be too hard on people that may or may not fudge the line a little bit. But I'm gonna keep my property posted with no trespassing signs. I'm gonna know the laws. I'm gonna know who to call, what to do, what information to get. I don't typically just run down and confront people. I don't go be a jerk. I'm not gonna do stuff like that, because that's a good way to get something started out here in the woods that could escalate into a much more serious situation. You know, if you got someone coming up to your house, you have the right to defend your house, you have the right to defend your property. I get all that, I'm not telling you not to. But out here in the woods, it's probably not a good idea to walk up and confront somebody in a very aggressive, you know, hateful way, because you don't know who you're dealing with out here. There's a lot of people that have a lot of drug problems, and you know, they have a lot of issues. And please don't get yourself in a situation out here in the woods that could be easily prevented by just going at things peacefully, approaching the situation in a nice, calm manner, guys. I see all these videos on YouTube. People just you know, run in and confront people, and they end up in a fight. People fighting over deer hunting rights on their property, or their neighbors hunting too close to the fence, or someone's come in and they're 10 feet across the property line and they're fishing, and the guy comes out and confronts them, and they get in a fist fight, and somebody ends up getting shot or thrown in jail. Really? Come on, man. It ain't worth it. So, anywho, let's get to posting some signs. Make sure everybody knows that they're supposed to stay on that side of the fence. Bella, you just crossed the fence. What are you doing? You're on the wrong side. Get back over here. Good girl. All of my no trespassing, private property, no hunting signs are up. Now remember, I'm not talking about home invaders. I'm not talking about a trespasser that's coming to your house to break into your property, to harm your family, to steal your property at your home. What this video is about is rural property owners who occasionally have to deal with people who wander onto their property. How do we deal with those? How should you deal with those? Just a few tips from me. Not legal advice. I promise you guys, do not take this as legal advice. Know the laws in your state. That's your best bet. But shut your gates, lock your gates if you need to, get your automatic gate opener, secure all the perimeter of your property with all your gates and fences and things like that. Put up the signs for no trespassing, posted, no hunting, whatever you want to do. Some states may require those signs, some don't. Get to know that stuff. And then of course, the biggest thing is get to know your neighbors. I mean, I don't know how many people I talk to on a regular basis that say, yeah, oh, so-and-so lives next door. I don't really know him. We've lived next to each other for 3 years, and we talk every once in a while across the fence, but that's about it. Guys, get to know your neighbors, especially if you're in a rural area. If you want to keep trespassers off your property, if you want to keep people from hunting on your property, get to know your neighbors, cooperate with one another, start a little Facebook group in and amongst all of your area. Be friends, be social, get to know those people, and then if someone is wandering across their property, they're gonna call you and say, hey, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this person? Do you know anything about this? Your neighbors are your allies. Your neighbors are your friends. It just irks me to no end when people don't even know who their neighbors are, and especially in a rural area where when you need help, trust me, at this house, in this world, in this day and age, I've been in law enforcement a long time. If something happens in that house, any kind of emergency, and I call 911, chances are it's going to take 10 to 15 minutes to get somebody here, because I live in such a rural area where if I had friends and neighbors and people close by that I could call, they could be here in minutes. Whether it's a medical emergency or a trespasser or someone trying to break in, whatever it is, get to know your neighbors. Your neighbors are your friends. Some of you may have neighbors that aren't friendly, and you will get to know that. Get to know them. So anyways, trespassers on your property can be a problem. Burglars, people breaking into your home, totally different story. That's not what this video was about, because hey, a no trespassing sign on my fence is going to prevent a trespasser about as well as a door lock on my door preventing somebody from breaking in and stealing my stuff. Door lock's only going to keep honest people out. Posted signs are only going to keep honest people honest. So anywho, guys, that's all I've got for today. Sorry for the ramble, just trying to address some questions that come in every once in a while. And you know, on a cold day, cold dreary day with rifle season just around the corner, whoo, I'm excited about that. It feels like deer season now. So anywho, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day, and as always, we'll see you on the next video.